She comes home late, her story doesn't quite add up, and something in your gut just feels off. You try to ignore it, but that nagging feeling won't go away. Here's the truth. Women rarely admit to cheating, especially if it just happened. Instead, they leave behind subtle but undeniable clues, changes in their body language, their energy, and even their routine that scream something happened last night. In this video, I'm going to show you how to read between the lines, how to spot the hidden cracks in her behavior, and how to know with near certainty if she cheated last night, even when she's looking you dead in the eye and denying it. Number 1. Sudden emotional distance. One of the most telling signs is a shift in her emotional connection with you. If yesterday she was playful, affectionate, and open, but today she feels closed off, cold, or distant without any clear reason, that's not something to brush off lightly. Cheating often comes with guilt, confusion, or even resentment. A woman who has just spent the night with someone else may instinctively pull back emotionally, either to avoid slipping up or because her feelings are conflicted. She may no longer want to cuddle, laugh at your jokes, or share her usual updates. Instead, you'll sense a wall between you, subtle but unmistakable if you know her well. Emotional distance doesn't prove cheating by itself, but when it suddenly appears out of nowhere and aligns with other signs, it's a powerful indicator that something deeper might have happened. Always pay attention to how her vibe with you suddenly changes overnight. Number 2. Overcompensating with affection. On the flip side, not all women become distant after cheating. Some do the exact opposite. They become unusually affectionate, overly sweet, and more attentive than normal. This happens because guilt can sometimes push people to make up for what they've done, almost as if they're trying to erase the evidence by smothering you with kindness. If she suddenly showers you with compliments, cooks your favorite meal, or gives you an out-of-nowhere passionate kiss, you need to ask yourself why. Is this consistent with her usual behavior, or is it exaggerated compared to what she normally does? Overcompensation is tricky because it looks like love on the surface, but underneath, it may be guilt dry, then damage control. The key is spotting the timing. If this sudden affection comes right after a suspicious night or a period where she was hard to reach, that's when it's worth connecting the dots. Number 3. Unexplained changes in routine. One of the clearest ways to spot infidelity is through changes in routine. If she went out last night and claimed it was just with friends, but her story is vague, inconsistent, or has holes, you need to look closer. Did she take longer than usual to come home? Did her phone suddenly die during the time she was out? Was her explanation rushed, overly defensive, or lacking detail? Small inconsistencies in her schedule often reveal more than her words. And the truth is, when someone has cheated, they usually scramble to normalize their behavior the next day. But in doing so, they often leave gaps. You may notice she suddenly needs me time, or she avoids eye contact when explaining where he was. Routine changes don't lie. When her story doesn't align with how she normally operates, it's often the first red flag that last night wasn't as innocent as she claims. Number 4. Physical signs you can't ignore. Sometimes, the body tells a story the words don't. If she comes home after a night out and there are subtle physical signs that don't add up, you should pay close attention. This could include things like her hair smelling of a different cologne, her makeup being smudged in unusual ways, or her clothing looking hastily adjusted. Even small details like her undergarments being different from what she usually wears for casual outings, or her being unusually quick to shower before you can hug her, are worth noticing. Another clue is her energy. If she seems unusually tired, restless, or off compared to her normal self, her body language might be revealing the truth. You don't need to be parano, but you do need to be observant. Physical evidence is often the hardest for someone to hide, especially when it comes right after a night she insists was nothing. Number 5. Defensiveness when questioned. One of the strongest giveaways of guilt is over-the-top defensiveness. If you ask her simple questions about where she was last night, and she reacts with irritation, snapping, or flipping the question back on you, that's suspicious. People who have nothing to hide usually answer calmly because the truth is easy to recall. But when someone feels cornered, their defense mechanisms kick in, and they may lash out to shift the attention away from themselves. She might accuse you of being insecure, controlling, or paranoid, even if you asked in a respectful way. Watch how her tone changes when you ask about last night. If she seems shaky, over-explains in detail that sounds rehearsed, or gets hostile, for no reason, she might be hiding more than she's saying. Remember, defensiveness is not always proof, but paired with other signs, it's often the biggest crack in the facade. Number 6. A sudden shift in intimacy. One of the clearest, yet often overlooked signs is how she responds to intimacy the next day. Cheating often disrupts her natural rhythm with you. Sometimes she avoids intimacy altogether, and sometimes she seems unusually eager. If she's distant, she may reject cuddling, kissing, or anything physical because she feels guilty, doesn't want to mix emotions, or has already satisfied those desires elsewhere. On the other hand, if she becomes overly sexual out of nowhere, suggesting new moves, pushing for intimacy at odd hours, or trying too hard, it could be her way of covering tracks or easing guilt. The key difference here is timing. If last night she came home late, and today her intimacy pattern don't align with how she normally is, that's not random. Most women don't flip between cold and suddenly fiery overnight without a trigger. And after a suspicious night out, that sudden shift should make you stop and think hard. Number 7. Odd phone behavior. Phones don't lie, but people do. One of the first things a cheating partner tries to protect is their phone. If last night she was out, and today her phone is suddenly glued to her hand, or worse, flipped face down, kept on silent, or taken with her everywhere, including the bathroom, that's not a coincidence. She may be trying to block you from seeing late-night calls, messages, or notifications that could reveal the truth. Another behavior to notice is sudden changes in her phone habits. Did she suddenly add a new lock screen? Is she unusually protective about her privacy when she normally isn't? Did she delete chat histories, calls, or even social media notifications overnight? A cheating partner may also overcompensate by saying things like, "Why would I cheat? Check my phone if you want," but only after wiping it clean. Phone behavior after a suspicious night out is one of the strongest clues that something happened she doesn't want you to know. Number 8. Gut feeling you can't shake off. At the end of the day, your instincts matter. Humans are wired to pick up subtle shifts in body language, tone, and energy, even if we can't always explain them logically. If you wake up the next day after she's been out, and something inside you feels off, don't ignore it. Maybe she avoided eye contact, maybe her story felt too rehearsed, or maybe her vibe with you simply isn't the same. Often your gut is the first signal before any concrete evidence shows up. Cheating partners may still act normal on the surface, but your subconscious picks up the gaps, the micro-expressions, the hesitation, the unusual behavior patterns. It's not about being paranoid, it's about being tuned in. If your gut keeps nudging you, it's usually for a reason. Trust but verify, because ignoring your intuition is one of the easiest ways to let the truth slip by unnoticed. Now to the bonus point, the silence after the storm. Here's something most men miss: the silence the next day. A woman who cheated last night may not necessarily act suspicious in obvious ways, but her silence speaks volumes. She might avoid casual conversation, skip her usual check-ins, or seem like she's mentally elsewhere. Why? Because she's replaying what happened in her head, trying to figure out how to act normal, and wrestling with guilt. Silence isn't just about being quiet. It's about the absence of her normal energy. If she usually chats about her day, laughs at small things, or shares random thoughts, but suddenly she's withdrawn the day after a questionable night, that's not a random mood swing. It's often a heavy, unspoken sign that something happened she doesn't want to confess. And while silence alone won't prove anything, when it comes right after a suspicious night out, it can be the biggest red flag of all. At the end of the day, no single sign proves she cheated last night. But when you start to notice a combination of these behaviors, the inconsistent story, the distance, the unusual intimacy shifts, the protective phone habits, and even that heavy silence, you can't just brush it off. The truth is, men often ignore their instincts because they're afraid of the answer. But real strength comes from facing the possibility head-on. Pay attention, ask questions calmly, and most importantly, don't gaslight yourself when the signs are right in front of you. Remember that emotional awareness is power. The more you understand these signals, the harder it is for someone to play games with your trust. If you found this video valuable, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on more eye-opening relationship advice for men every week. And in the comments, tell me, have you ever noticed these signs before? Did your gut turn out to be right? Let's talk about it. See you on the next one.